All right, today we're tackling something pretty huge. We're going to distill the core wisdom from 40 of the most powerful books on money and wealth and boil it all down into a single, clear roadmap. Now, this isn't just theory, okay? This is a path forged by someone who actually went from zero to tens of millions by applying these exact principles. So you ready? Let's begin the climb.
So, you want to get that multi-million-dollar mindset, but maybe you don't want to read an entire library to get there. I get it. The goal here is to give you a massive shortcut. We've done the heavy lifting, gone through all the pages, and pulled out the absolute best lessons just for you.
So here it is. We've mapped out the entire journey as a 3-level ascent. It's a step-by-step climb that's designed to take you from ground zero all the way to $10 million, and maybe even beyond. Think of each level as a new base camp, building on the one right before it. Let's take a look at the trail map.
Okay, our journey starts with building the foundation. This is what gets you to your first 100 grand. Then we're going to build the engine, which is all about scaling you up to $1 million. From there, we climb to the apex, where we're aiming for 10 million plus. And then we're going to finish by focusing on the single most crucial part of this whole thing, your very first step.
All right, level 1. This is all about building your foundation. The goal here is simple. Get from zero to your first $100,000. And it doesn't start with money. Nope, it starts right up here in your mind. It's about mastering your internal psychology, your habits, and your core skills.
You know, one of the biggest mindset shifts comes from the book The Psychology of Money, and it's this huge distinction between being rich and being wealthy. See, being rich is all about what you spend. It's visible. It's the fancy car, the designer clothes. But being wealthy, that's about what you don't spend. It's the money that's quietly working for you in investments. Real wealth is what you don't see.
And to build that unseen wealth, you need a serious level of commitment. Think and Grow Rich gives us this incredible analogy. It's about burning the ships, leaving no escape route. You have to create a situation where building wealth isn't just something you'd like to do. It becomes a necessity. That's the huge difference between just wanting success and being psychologically driven to achieve it, no matter what.
And that necessity, it's fueled by powerful habits. So, think of this as your personal habit-building toolkit, combining wisdom from 4 brilliant books. First, Atomic Habits gives us habit stacking. You just link a new goal to something you already do every day. Simple. Then, the 12-week year teaches you to create your own urgency by treating 12 weeks like an entire year. Next, Getting Things Done shows us why you have to get tasks out of your head and onto paper. And finally, Essentialism delivers the hardest but most powerful skill of all, learning to say no to protect your focus.
So, what skills should you be focusing on? Well, forget that generic advice to just follow your passion. The book, The Unfair Advantage, has a much smarter approach. Don't chase something you're not naturally good at. Instead, figure out your unique, natural strengths, your unfair advantage, and build everything around that. You want to double down on what you're already wired to be great at.
Okay, let's get into the financial nitty-gritty. This is a classic idea from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's brutally simple. An asset puts money in your pocket, a liability takes money out of it. The entire game of building wealth boils down to this one thing: relentlessly acquire assets and ruthlessly get rid of liabilities. The very first step is just learning to see the difference in everything you buy.
Now, to really understand why getting assets is so powerful, let me ask you this classic question. Would you rather have $3 million cash right now or a single penny that doubles in value every single day for 31 days? Most people grab the cash, but that penny, that little penny, becomes over $10 million. And that right there is the magic of compound interest. It's incredible.
But hey, investing is not always a smooth ride, right? The Intelligent Investor gives us the perfect way to think about market swings, Mr. Market. Just imagine he's this emotional business partner. Some days he's ecstatic and offers you a crazy high price for your stuff. Other days he's depressed and offers you a ridiculously low one. Your job isn't to follow his mood. It's to ignore him and focus on the real, long-term value of your assets.
Okay, so you've built the foundation. Your mindset is strong, your habits are solid, you get the whole assets and investing thing, but there's a problem. There's a ceiling on how much you can possibly earn when you're just trading your time for a paycheck. So the big question is, how do you smash through that ceiling?
And that brings us to level 2, the engine. The goal here is to scale from $100,000 all the way up to $1 million. This stage is all about building a system,
A business engine that generates wealth using leverage, so you're finally no longer limited by the hours in your day.
The 4-hour workweek frames this idea perfectly. Just look at this comparison. Who is really wealthier here? The banker making $500,000 working 80 hours a week, or the entrepreneur making 40 grand but only working 4 hours a week? It's the entrepreneur, because their relative income, their income per hour, is almost double. This level is about chasing freedom and control, not just a bigger paycheck.
So how do you actually build that freedom engine? Well, the Lean Startup gives us the exact blueprint. It's a simple but incredibly powerful loop. First, you build a minimum version of your product or service. Then, you measure how real customers respond to it. Then, you learn from that data, adapt your idea, and you just repeat the cycle. This is how you stop yourself from building something nobody actually wants.
And where should you build this thing? Well, Blue Ocean Strategy presents two choices. You can fight it out in a red ocean. That's a crowded market full of competitors where the water is basically bloody from the fight. Or you can create a blue ocean, a brand new, uncontested market space. In fact, one study found that 61% of profits came from companies that did exactly this. So the lesson is clear. The biggest rewards don't come from winning the fight, they come from making the fight totally irrelevant. And now we reach the final climb, level 3. The apex. The goal here is to scale from 1 million to 10 million and way beyond. This is where you evolve from just being a business owner into a world-class leader, building something with massive influence and systems that are pretty much indestructible.
To lead at this level, you have to inspire people, and Simon Sinek's Start with Why explains exactly how. See, most companies tell you what they do, but the greatest leaders and the most iconic brands, they start with why. Their purpose, their cause, their belief. When you communicate from the inside out like that, you don't just sell a product, you inspire a movement.
This quote from the E-Myth Revisited is such a massive wake-up call for anyone trying to scale a business. Being great at a technical skill, like baking an amazing cake, is a completely different thing from being great at running a business that sells cakes. To truly scale, you have to stop working in the business and start working on the business. And that means building systems.
And finally, how do you stay focused at this elite level? Good to Great gives us what's called the hedgehog concept. See, a fox knows many little things, but a hedgehog knows one big thing. Your hedgehog is that sweet spot right at the intersection of 3 circles. What are you deeply passionate about? What can you be the absolute best in the world at? And what actually drives your economic engine? Finding and then living inside that intersection, that is the secret to long-term dominant success.
So there you have it. We've covered the entire journey, from mindset and habits to building business engines in world-class leadership. We've gone from 0 all the way to $10 million. The map is laid out right in front of you. So the only question left is the one that really matters. What are you going to do next? What is your very first step going to be?